This video will be on rearranging equations, part 1. Let's say I give you an equation, x plus y is equal to z. And I want to know what is y. Now, there's no way for you to give me a numeric answer for y because there are no numbers. No matter how much we try to solve this equation, we're never going to get a numeric answer for y unless they tell us what x and z are, because we have 3 variables in one equation. But what we could do is we could find y in terms of x and z. That way, if we would know what x and z are, we could just plug in right away. So let's see how we do that. We want to get y alone. How would we do that? The only thing that's attached to the y is an x. So if we just subtract the x from the left-hand side, it'll cancel it out. And since we're subtracting something from the left-hand side, we have to subtract it from the right-hand side also. So y is equal to z minus x. Now, if I would give you values for z and x, you could just plug in the z value over here, plug in the x value over here, and right away you would be able to tell me exactly what y is. So that's all there is to it. Let's try another one. Y is equal to 6x. And I want to know, it's solved in terms of y, I want to know what x is in terms of y. So we'll never be able to get a number for x because we have another variable. We have 2 variables in the same equation. But we will be able to get is x in terms of y. How do we do that? We want to get x alone. Right now, x is alone, but it has a coefficient. So to remove that coefficient, we're just going to divide it away. Divide by 6, so the 6's cancel out. Since we're dividing that side by 6, we have to divide the left side also by 6. And x is equal to y over 6. And that's the answer. Let's try another one. Y minus x is equal to 15. And we want to get x alone. So the first thing that seems obvious is you want to remove that y. So minus y and minus y. So we still have the x is attached to its minus sign. So we still have to keep that minus sign there. A number or a variable is always attached to the sign before it. So here this y is attached to a plus. But plus signs we just ignore. So negative x is equal to 15 minus y. Now we have a minus x, what we're solving for is a positive x. So we have to divide away the negative side. You can't just divide away a minus sign, so we're going to divide it by negative 1. And then we're going to divide the right-hand side also by negative 1. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do the other side. So this negative 1 cancels out the minus sign in front of the x, and x is equal to 15 minus y over negative 1. Now this can be simplified. You could divide the 15 by negative 1 and the y by negative 1. And you'll get 15 divided by negative 1, let's say we would rewrite it, 15 divided by negative 1, minus y divided by negative 1. So this would become x is equal to 15 divided by negative 1 is negative 15, and negative y divided by negative 1 is y. Negative 15 plus y, x is equal to negative 15 plus y, and that's the answer. Let's try another example. Y is equal to 1 over 6x minus 12. Now the equation is solved for y in terms of x. What we want to do is find x in terms of y. So we want to solve the equation for x. The first thing we're going to do is move away the constant. So we're just left with the x term and its coefficient. So plus 12 to the right-hand side to cancel out the 12. Since we did it to the right-hand side, we're going to do it to the left-hand side also. Y plus 12 is equal to 1 over 6x. Now we want x alone. We don't want it 1/6 of x. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the coefficient of x, which is 6 over 1. Since the coefficient of x is 1 over 6, we're multiplying by 6 over 1. And since we did it to the right-hand side, we also have to do it to the left-hand side. So multiply by 6. And the 1 over 6 and the 6 over 1 cancel out. X is equal to 6 times y plus 12. You could either leave your answer like this. X is equal to 6 times y plus 12. That would be perfectly correct. Or else you could distribute the 6 over the y and over the 12. You could write 6y plus 6 times 12 is 72 is equal to x, and this is equally correct. Let's do another example. (16x plus z is equal to y. And we want to solve this for x. So the first thing we're going to do is clear away everything that's not attached to the x, like the z. The only thing that's attached to the x here is the coefficient of x, which is 16. Subtract z from the left-hand side. Since we're subtracting from the left-hand side, we also have to subtract from the right-hand side. Z minus z cancel out, and we're left with 16x is equal to y minus z. Now we have x, and x is a coefficient. We want to solve for x alone, not x with a coefficient. So we're going to divide away the coefficient. Since we're dividing the left-hand side by 16, we also have to divide the right-hand side by 16. 16's cancel out, and x is equal to y minus z over 16, which is the answer. Let's try one last question. 1 over 10x plus 1 over 6z is equal to 1 over 9y. A lot of fractions in this one. And let's solve this one for z. So the first thing we're going to do is remove anything that's not attached to the z. The z is only attached to its coefficient, which is 1 over 6. So let's remove the 1 over 10x. We're going to just move the whole term to the other side. Minus 1 over 10x. Minus 1 over 10x. And the 1 over 10x is on the left-hand side. Minus 1 over 10x. These cancel out. That's what we wanted to do. And we're left with 1 over 6z is equal to 1 over 9y minus 1 over 10x. We can't subtract these because they don't have the same base. X and y are not like terms. Now we want to get z alone without its coefficient. So we're going to multiply by 6 over 1, the reciprocal of the coefficient. And then we have to multiply the other side also by 6 over 1, or just 6, doesn't matter. And this way we'll cancel out the coefficient of z. And we're left with z is equal to 6 times 1 over 9y minus 1 over 10x. Now we could distribute this if you want. Z is equal to the 6 we could distribute over the 1 over 9y and over the negative 1 over 10x. So 6 times 1 over 9 is 6 over 9y minus 6 times negative 10x is negative 6 over 10x. And we could reduce these two fractions. 6 over 9 is, the 6 and 9 are both divisible by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 2 over 3y minus 6 over 10 are also, they can be reduced. 6 and 10 are both divisible by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then we have to bring down that x. So z is equal to 2 over 3y minus 3 over 5x.